The graduation address gives us the opportunity to hear from a very distinguished member of our alumni community. And we are fortunate today that the address will be delivered by Professor Lois Salamonsen. Professor Salamonsen is a distinguished scientist in the Centre of Reproductive Health at the Hudson Institute of Medical Research and an adjunct professor of the Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences. Thank you for that. Her research focuses on human uterine and endometrial biology, specifically on mechanisms underlying endometrial remodeling, including menstruation and endometrial repair. Professor Salamonsen has received countless awards and accolades for her scientific endeavours and is recognised as a rare woman at the top of her discipline. They shouldn't be so rare, should they? Who can guide young women through their special difficulties with work-life balance. I now have much pleasure in inviting Professor Lois Salamonsen to deliver the graduation address.
Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Megan Clark, Provost and Senior Vice President, Professor Mark Palang, Dean of Biomedical Sciences, Professor John Carroll, members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly new graduates. Right off target, I'm just going to say it's been wonderful sitting up here, seeing the smiles on these faces that walked past me. And it has been indeed a great honour to be here and stand before you on this very special occasion. My congratulations to all of you who've graduated today. What a wonderful time this is for each of you, the culmination of years of hard work and the start of the rest of your lives. Today, you can stand tall and say, I did it. I now have that degree that I've dreamed about. Unusually, you are graduates of the COVID era, deprived for the past year of face-to-face tuition and of university life that so enriches the student experience. You should take extra pride in this graduation, which demonstrates your resilience and persistence in face of difficult times. On looking out across this great hall, I see so many proud families and friends. They've all provided the support that has helped you on this journey, and today they're sharing your pride. A degree in biomedical or health sciences from Monash is precious. With the university's high standing in the world, you are enabled to follow your dreams, be those of further study, of a career in the health sector or in health-related research, industry, in policy making, or in any other field that may be your passion. A strong scientific background is an outstanding way for you to start on a journey that will not only provide you with an income to sustain you and your families, but which can also make the world a better place. To be able to discern truth from falsehood and to provide clear and precise arguments are great assets indeed. My PhD from Monash enabled me to follow my own passion, research in women's reproductive health. How scientific knowledge has progressed during my 40-odd years of working life. And from this knowledge has come our ability to lead healthy lives and right well into our later years. When I was doing honours, the triplet code of DNA that defined the amino acid sequences of encoded proteins had just been discovered. This essentially opened up the whole field of molecular biology, which has driven many of the advances in modern medicine. Also at that time, psychology was based predominantly on the work of Sigmund Freud, and fast food, apart from fish and chips, was not available, and obesity was rare. With my honours degree, I started research in an endocrine lab. At that time, hormones were known as essential messengers in transmitting signals between tissues, such as between the pituitary gland and the reproductive tract. But these hormones had never been measured. I spent my early years developing new forms of assays for these. Such assays are now available as rapid kits and are routinely provided as part of pathology services. But few people think of the conceptual steps and the initial efforts required to develop them. Subsequently, I was introduced to reproductive sciences and the biology of the uterus. We studied how embryos implanted into the endometrium, the lining of the uterus, and how that amazing tissue, it restored itself after it was shed at each menstruation. No other tissue in the body does such a thing. What a massive effort is put into preservation of a species. Most recently, my team's been on a really exciting journey, investing intercellular communication via tiny vesicles of nanometer diameter. These are released externally from cells. They essentially act like little delivery trucks that carry cargo of RNA and proteins from one specific cell to another, protecting the cargo from destruction by malevolent bystanders, those nasty degradative enzymes, as they move between the cells. They must then find the correct unloading bay on a cell and deliver the cargo. This can then modify the behaviour of the recipient cells. In the case of our work, this has been delivery of signals between an early embryo and the uterus in both directions to initiate placental development. How amazing, such tiny, minuscule vesicles doing such an important job. What a journey it's been for my team. The thrill and feeling of achievement at each step along the way as we unravelled one of the complex systems of nature. This has been such a great joy. But working life can also throw up some unexpected experiences. One of my students was preparing an antibody we needed in a cow because she needed lots of it. She ended up having to sleep in the cowshed, waiting for it to deliver its calf, so she could collect its first milk, the colostrum that's rich in antibody. Think also of Australian Nobel laureate Barry Marshall, who drank a glass of bacteria to prove that gastric ulcers result from this bacterium, not from stress, as was commonly believed. What a brave man. He must have had great faith in his hypothesis. All of this was in the biomedical sciences. However, those of you graduating in psychology, nutrition and dietetics here today will also find yourselves involved in either finding better understanding of mental health issues or of how good nutrition can make the difference between a healthy life or one in which major disorders such as diabetes or low immunity are developed. You will contribute to new concepts, procedures and protocols that provide the very best in healthcare for the Australian people. We live in a strange world with many reports in the media that are very depressing. However, in opposition to these bleak pictures about human nature presented by daily media, I've recently had the good fortune to read the book by Harvard psychologist Steven Pinker, the book called The Better Angels of Our Nature, that gives a very different picture. It underlines the human psychological systems that lead to release of aggression and compares them with those that can bring humans towards cooperation and altruism. Indeed, it shows how violence in the world has declined in the long and the short term, rather than getting worse, as many commentators would have us believe. Certainly, education and the ability to embrace science and reason are steering us in the right direction. In these global times, I believe we should rephrase President John Kennedy's famous exhortation to the people of the US. Instead, we should ask not what the world can do for you, but what you can do for the world. There are so many opportunities for us to make a difference. Indeed, the world needs scientists, including health professionals, to bring about change, not only in human health, but in environmental matters, in agriculture and species preservation, and in global warming. Do take any opportunities your degree makes possible to influence those around you and your leaders. Some of you may become world ambassadors for health issues, but you can all contribute to the greater good. I therefore urge each of you to make the most of this training which has culminated in your graduation today, and of that to come. But above all, follow your own passions, be it in health sciences, in health services, in biosciences, or in the broader community. Good luck to you all in whatever you may choose to do, and may this bring joy and fulfilment to your lives, as it has to mine. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much, Professor Salamonsen. I don't know about you, but I got the impression if we could spend a couple of hours with you, we would have a masterclass taking us all the way through probably everything that the students had learned and more. You referred to the students as the graduates of the COVID era. I think you've got a new moniker here as well. Who would have dreamed that just about everyone in the world would know what messenger RNA is? You reminded the students of the miracle of life and what happens every moment in terms of the messaging between ourselves. Quite extraordinary. But you also highlighted the challenges, and all the students here understand that to achieve their goals, there are always challenges that must be overcome. Mental health, behaviours, nutrition, it really covers such a wide gamut. I think in particular, your final comments to the students to follow their passion is one that I hope each one of you takes on board. Thank you very much, Professor.